Ready? Ready to go.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the November 18th, 2025 meeting of the North Carolina Driver Education Advisory Committee quarterly meeting. This is a legislatively required committee, which also outlines in the North Carolina Driver's Education Strategic Plan and State Board of Education policy. I'm Dr. Cheryl Leonard, Assistant Director of Governor's Highway Safety and Chair of the DEAC, and I call this meeting to order. I want to welcome committee members who are here and online. Also, a huge welcome to our on-site visitors and online listeners. Please be reminded that this meeting shall comply with public meeting laws, including the use of Robert Rules of Order. Our agenda and other materials are available online through the DPI website, www.dpi.nc.gov, on the State Board of Education eBoard page. This meeting is also being live streamed through a link located at the bottom of the DPI DEAC webpage, also on the dpi.gov website. Please be advised the meeting is recorded and will be made available via the YouTube app as soon as possible. The members of this committee are vitally important as they represent the stakeholders in teen traffic safety education in this state. District leaders have also been notified of these meetings as their needs are the core of our purpose. The purpose of the North Carolina Driver's Education Advisory Committee shall be to advise and make recommendations to the State Board of Education through the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction on the implementation of the North Carolina Driver Education Strategic Plan and other issues related to driver education and traffic safety. Composed of experience and diverse perspectives, the Driver Education Advisory Committee provides research-based information and recommendations to the State Board of Education to implement and recommend to the State Board and maintain the Driver Education Strategic Plan. The Advisory Committee advocates for certified professional teachers, highly qualified instruction, and up-to-date curricula to prepare each student to be an informed and responsible driver. I will now read the ethics statement. Committee members are reminded that it is our duty to avoid conflicts of interest and the appearance of conflicts of interest as we handle the work of this committee. At this time, does any member of the committee know of any conflict of interest or any appearance of conflict with respect to any matters coming before us at this meeting today? Okay. It will then be your duty to abstain from participation in discussion on the matter from voting on any matter that might come if you find yourself in a position where there may be a conflict. Now we will go to the minutes, committee members. The unapproved minutes from the August 19th, 2025 have been made available to you prior to the meeting, which you should have had a chance to review by now. Without objection from the committee, the floor will ask for a single roll call combining the votes for the approval of the minutes, today's agenda, and the official roll call to determine a quorum. The floor will entertain a motion to accept the minutes from the August 19th, 2025 meeting. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Devin. Do we have a second?
I'll second Eddie Jordan.
Okay, thank you, Eddie. Any discussion? The floor will entertain a motion to accept the agenda for today's meeting. Do we have a motion? I think we decided we would all do the same thing. So Devin motion and the second was Eddie. And the hearing no discussion. Ms. Taylor, would you call roll and record the votes for the properly moved motions and the roll call to record the attendance for today's meeting?
Thank you, Dr. Leonard. Dr. Cheryl Leonard,
Yes.
Eddie Jordan,
Yes, and I approve.
Tony Moore, Dr. Brandy Gill, Kevin Harrison,
Yes.
Sherry Vernelson,
Not here.
Terry Fuller,
Yes.
Daniel Carter,
Approve.
Tanya Faulkner,
Not here.
Devin Tanner,
Yes, and I approve.
Marcia Kelly,
Yes, and I approve.
Bobby Dixon,
Yes, and I approve.
Lieutenant Quentin Stanton,
Not here.
Chad Aharon,
Yes, and I approve.
Asim McGill,
Yes, and I approve.
Dr. Justin Owens,
Good morning. Yes, approved.
Kella Hatcher,
Yes, approve.
and Ebony Baker.
Yes, approved.
All right. Dr. Leonard, you do have a quorum.
Thank you. And next, we'll have the DPI update, and I will turn it over to Mr. Carl Logan. Prior to that, I want to thank Rachel Finley for being here today. We know she's in the midst of some very important business right now,
Cindy, you
Huh.
ready?
more global than anything else.
I'll look at you.
So we hope that gets straightened out for you. So would you like to say anything before Mr. Logan?
No, just welcome to our DEAC members. I'm always here to be with you today, and I welcome your questions.
Okay, thank you so much. And Carl, if you'll talk about Achieving Academic Excellence 2025 to 2030 Strategic Plan.
So thank you for the opportunity to share this presentation from the State Superintendent of Public Instruction and the State Board of Education on the North Carolina Strategic Plan for the public schools. This 5-year plan was developed from listening to educators, community, and business leaders, parents, and students across the state. Over 5,000 North Carolinians provided input from in-person sessions to virtual stakeholder meetings and school visits. What was heard shaped every aspect of this plan, from teacher retention challenges to the need for mental health support. A plan was drafted that was reviewed by the State Board of Education, DPI staff, and partners across the state to finalize it into 110 actions. The plan was unanimously approved on August 8th and launched on August 20th. The vision for this plan is achieving educational excellence. This vision has 3 main components: high academic achievement, character development, and the goal by 2030. North Carolina will have the best school system in the nation. Next slide. The plan is divided into 8 different pillars. Well, I have to. 110 specific actions align the NCDPI's mission and organized across 8 focus areas. Partnership approach by creating networks with public school units, traditional public charter, regional and labs, businesses, philanthropies, and community organizations. As I go through these 8 pillars of transformation, I want you to imagine how they can guide the state's driver education program as we travel through the Reformation program. Number 1, prepare each student for their next phase of life, expand rigorous pathways, dual enrollment, career readiness, and character development. 2, revere public school educators, competitive compensation, career advancement, and professional support for all education professionals. Number 3, enhance parent, caregiver, and community support. strengthen family engagement and community partnerships for student access. Number 4, ensure healthy, safe, and secure learning environments. Physical safety, mental health support, and positive school climates. Number 5, optimize operational excellence, modernize systems, eliminate administrative burdens, leverage technology effectively. Number 6, lead transformative change, research-driven innovation, network collaboration, and continuous improvement. Number 7, celebrate the excellence in public education, comprehensive messaging and highlighting the remarkable achievements in our schools. And number 8, galvanize champions to fully invest and support public education, build coalitions for increased investment and sustained community support. Every action in this plan connects to one goal, ensuring that every North Carolina student receives an excellent education that prepares them for success. This is how we become the best state in the country with public education. How can you learn more about this plan? Sign up to get this link. You can use the QR code and or type the address at the bottom of the screen. Thank you for the partnership in this effort and taking time to learn more about this plan. So what does this mean for our program? This combined statement is very encouraging, as many elements of the plan greatly embodies the program's efforts and needs to continue the reformation process of this program. Our goal continues to be the restoration of this program as a leader in traffic safety excellence across the country. As stated, the implementation of the plan will greatly involve a coordinated effort and transparency, which we will later cover in the decennial rules update later in old business of this meeting today. It will involve this body, this legislatively required body, the DEAC, the stakeholders and educators at our local districts, the parents and community leaders, and most importantly, the 150,000 eligible students who are enrolled in public, charter, private, home, federal schools, at which the number is well over 1,000 sites. The challenge, the increasing number of students and the decreasing number of well-prepared teachers. To keep up, we must develop and implement strategies to reach all students with high-quality teachers using standardized and quality teacher education prep programs. Madam Chair, I would like to invite anyone from the committee to ask any questions or make comments toward the North Carolina strategic plan as read. Hearing no questions, I'll yield back. Dr. Leonard.
Thank you, Carl. Obviously, the strategic plan has been well thought out and has taken a lot of months to prepare and get approved. And we thank you for that leadership and for making it happen. One of the things that I think is so interesting in this strategic plan is the focus on working with different partners, folks that are out there that all have the same mission that we do on the Driver's Education Advisory Committee. And one of those is one of our partners is Street Safe, who is run by the director, Todd Rodabaugh. And he comes to us today to talk about the Street Safe program. And Todd began his career with the North Carolina Wildlife back in 1990. I'm sure he wants everybody to do the math. And he retired in 2017. And he is he retired as a captain of District 2, focusing on 12 of our state coastal counties, and he became a standardized field sobriety testing instructor in 2000, which actually led him to where he is today. He currently lives in Rocky Point with his wife of 37 years, Leanne, and their 2 Boykin Spaniels. With his newly found time off, he's surfing and fishing more with his grown sons and granddaughter who live in Wilmington. And he is going to talk to us about a very important program whose mission is to teach young, experienced drivers, our most at-risk youth, to become safer and more responsible on the roads by offering hands-on driving exercises and discussion. So, Todd?
Thank you very much. Yeah, like Dr. Leonard said, I'm a retired game warden, but I spent a lot of time in the standardized field sobriety testing world, the drug recognition expert world, which is what led me to Street Safe. And after I retired, it became a point they needed a director, and I didn't want to see the program go away because I think it is so important. So I agreed to come out of retirement and work every Saturday again. So what we do, Street Safe, I'll give this to you in a nutshell. We believe that young drivers need experience. They're not just out there doing stupid things because they're stupid or they don't know any better. But like most of us, they don't think anything bad will happen to them until it does. So what we want to provide is an opportunity for them to experience those most common causes of crashes. And I feel like I should be looking at y'all too, in a no risk environment where they can gain that experience without being in harm's way. So the program started in 2008. A retired police officer from New York had moved down to Wilmington, and he was super active in the community with at-risk youth in all different levels of the community. But he went to a barbecue one night, and he was basically challenged because at that time, that little tiny county in North Carolina was leading the state in young driver deaths. And they said, what are you going to do about this? You know, you're doing all this other stuff. What are you going to do about this? So he had an idea to put young people in cars and let them experience these common crash causes within this no-risk environment. And he talked to a bunch of first responders, pitched this idea to us. And to be honest, you know, he wanted to know if we'd help, if he was able to get this off the ground. Sounded like a great idea. But when he left that room, I never thought I'd see him again, because you're getting cars, insurance, you know, just seemed like a lot. But he was back 8 months later, and that's when we started in Wilmington, just as something good to do for the community. And we started running those programs once a month. Our elected district attorney at the time was Mr. Ben David. He heard about it. He came out and said, I need to start sending people who have had infractions, tickets, or been involved in crashes through your program. So that's kind of how things started. So now we have a bunch of different teams. We have teams from Boone all the way down to Wilmington, you know, spread all along the I-40 corridor. We have one team that delivers the program in Spanish. Everything has been dubbed. Even the videos have been translated into Spanish, and that's been a real satisfying thing to see. But we're a 501c. All of our court-ordered funds go back into our program. So we started this business to contact young drivers before they had to interact with the court system or were involved in a crash. But what has happened is a lot of them do get infractions and are sent through. So that helps us fund all the things that we do in the schools. Our primary goal would be to get into every high school in the state and put these drivers through the program. We have all of our cars, it's all hands-on. And we're the only hands-on driving program in North Carolina that is completely staffed by first responders. And the reason we do that is because they are the people who have to investigate the crashes. All of our folks have done death notifications at some point, had to go to someone's home and tell them their loved one wasn't coming back. So we use first responders. They have that experience, and they're super passionate because they would do anything never to have to deliver another death notification. So So that's why we show up on Saturday and do these programs for the young people. We do a lot of different programs. We have a half day. So the traffic court program is where people have been involved with the court system. Primarily, we focus on drivers 25 and under. They're the most at risk. It's the most dangerous thing we let our kids do is drive a car. So that is our target audience. But we occasionally have some district attorneys that will refer older people to that program just so they can self-assess, maybe think about how they're driving. We have Beyond Driver's Education program, which is our high school program. We just ran one last weekend in Johnston County with the JOCO teen drivers, which is trying to get back organized again. And that is our focus. We would like to interact with those young people before they get a ticket or have a crash. So that's really why we do what we do. It's a great program for them. The Right Choice is another kind of offshoot. We were called to take over a program by one of our elected district attorneys because the gentleman that started it was leaving. And it's more of a discussion-based program for older drivers. Maybe I'm 57 and I haven't had a ticket in a while. DA wants me to go get some kind of education. That's more of just a discussion-based, not hands-on, the Right Choice. We do corporate driving programs for some. Weyerhaeuser's one that likes it. We also run an EVOC course, an emergency vehicle operation course for DPI for their EMT program for DPI. So because of what we were doing in all the high schools across the state, DPI came to us, I guess it was right before COVID when that law changed, making that a requirement for the EMT students. So we actually went out and got some ambulances, put drivers or instructor brakes in them. And we now do an ambulance EVOC course for all of the high schools in North Carolina that have that EMT program. Alcohol and drug education is something else that we do. A lot of these young people don't understand the risks and consequences. And a long time ago when the Talk It Out campaign started, and the governor's office went to the ABC Commission and said, we need a program to combat underage drinking. We were approached by some district attorneys, some elected district attorneys, and said, let me send them through Street Safe. And we told them, hey, they're not here for driving while impaired. This is something different. So they said, okay, come up with a program. So we started it was the alcohol education program at that time, targeting underage drinkers in certain college towns throughout North Carolina. But now what we're seeing is at least 50% of all the students that are referred to that program come for simple possession of cannabis or some kind of cannabis possession. So cannabis impaired driving is a huge problem in this state, cannabis possession. So we're addressing that too in our drug and alcohol course. Smoking and vaping, that goes right along with it. A lot of high schools call us to do that. So we have law enforcement instructors that'll teach that. And then different life skill courses for the young people. So those are just some of the things we do. But primarily our driving program is that's our main focus. So this one, it has classroom instruction because in the classroom we can talk about overcorrecting. That's something we can't really simulate on the kind of parking lots that we're able to obtain for this program. But somewhere in North Carolina, every single Saturday, we're renting at least one high school and putting these young people through a hands-on program that does have classroom as well. We talk about tailgating, real common crash in Wilmington. There's one little stretch of College Road that there's probably 4 of those a day. Tailgating, so we have a tailgating exercise that they get to experience that and how hard it is to stop safely if they're following too closely. Evasive lane change is a distraction course. You know, distracted driving is a huge problem. So we give the student a distraction and ask them to make a choice. And because they're distracted, they see how hard that can be. Speed control, speed kills. No doubt it's a major cause of young driver fatalities. So we let them see just how quickly they can lose control of a car in a no-risk environment. They're going 25 miles an hour, but they swear to you they're going 60. So we have that. Fatal vision in the golf cart, we encourage them to have a plan. This day and time, they got to have a plan. There's a lot of options to get home safely without getting behind the wheel or getting in the car with someone who's impaired by any substance. So we talk about that with the golf cart and the impairment goggles. And then the seatbelt convincer. At every one of our sessions, we bring a seatbelt convincer. We're the largest consumer of seatbelt convincers in the world, according to the guy that makes them. But we take them to every single session so that they can experience the results of an 8-mile-an-hour crash. And they see that the seatbelt won't work if you don't wear it. And when something bad's getting ready to happen, you don't have time to put it on, because it still amazes me how many people don't wear their seatbelt. So we take a seatbelt convincer everywhere we go. And then we have, we don't like the online. The young people really do not thrive on online. We believe they need to see it, hear it, and do it. But during COVID, we had to come up with an online option. So we do have that for emergency purposes too. But we don't like it. People need to see it, hear it, and do it. And that's how most of us retain information. So that is what we do. Drug and alcohol education course, I talked to you about that. Again, we're seeing a terrible increase in cannabis possession in Wilmington and the college towns where we teach that drug and alcohol education class. And then vaping, we're getting a lot of calls from high schools about that. So we're sending our folks in there. And those are just some of our other presentations that we can do. So I hope I didn't go over time. All right. Anybody have any questions for me?
So I have two. One, you talk about going all over the state. Do you actually have a traveling roadshow where you would take do you take all the cars to where you are?
We'll bring our cars. So we can tailor programs to any. So a school might not have time, because my wife is in education. My son and his wife are in education. I get it. Time, the competition for time and what has to be done is fierce. But so we'll tailor a program. If they only have an hour to talk about having a plan during prom, we'll do that. But if a school will give us the time, we will bring a team and all the cars and do the whole 4.5-hour hands-on program.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll go anywhere in the state. We have our teams spread throughout the state in such a way that it's manageable for us to get anywhere in North Carolina. Because like I said, we have cars spread out from Boone all the way down to Wilmington and everywhere in between.
So you would talk to the school to make sure that the location was conducive to what you wanted to.
We'd have to make sure the parking lot was adequate. That's the biggest thing. And that's why we primarily run our programs on Saturdays, because the only facilities we can find with a big enough parking lot to do what we need to do are high schools. And so it's easier to rent them when nobody is there. There's still a lot of competition for time between bands and soccer tournaments and everything else. But that's how we do it. So.
And is there a charge to any of this?
So we will come to the school totally free. What we have found, working with the PTA though, sometimes it's better to charge $30 for that program, because the what that does, and that can go back into the school. But that makes sure that if it's 80 degrees, this is what would happen. We'd have 60 kids sign up in Wilmington in the early days, and for a Saturday, and all of a sudden it'd be 80 degrees. And so everybody'd go to the beach, and I'd have a whole crew of instructors and equipment, nobody'd show up. And so $30 seemed like that sweet spot where mom and dad said, oh yes, you are going, and made them get to the program. So that's why we do that. So but we would never, the information's the important thing. The experience is the important thing. So anybody that had a challenge, even with $30, we would accept them and go. But that's the biggest thing. If we come to the school and we do a free program for the PTO, we just need all the parents to work hard to get those kids there, because it is tough when we only have 5 or 6 show up. And we have a whole crew of instructors.
Is it a full day, half a day?
Half a day. So the 4.5-hour course is the hands-on driving program. It takes 4.5 hours. We usually start at 9 o'clock. We're out of there by 1:30.
Okay.
Yeah. The 8-hour course we offer is something that's new that district attorneys have requested, because they wanted something a little more punitive. So there's a little bit more classroom in there for a whole day. But yeah, the hands-on driving program for young people is 4.5 hours.
So I guess that answers my question. I'm looking at the website, and there's, in a few weeks, there's one here in Wake County at the police department driving range.
Yeah.
And so a student or a teenager would get there at 9 o'clock, and then the vast majority of that would be hands-on in the car.
Yeah, so we cap it at 60. That's about the number we can handle with 10 instructors. And then half of the group, the way it works, we'll have a parent session in the beginning, because if they're under 18, a parent has to come and sign the waiver, stay for that. We have an insurance representative that talks about, not about their particular company, but about umbrella policies and that side of traffic crashes and what can happen. And some impact speakers that speak to that as well. Then we'll split the young people up, the students of our class. Half of them will go outside and drive. Half of them will stay in the classroom and hear the message inside. Then they'll switch halfway, and the ones inside will go outside. So it reinforces the message of what they did outside in the classroom too, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Any of y'all got any questions?
So,
Yes, ma'am.
Angie,
Hey, Angie.
so when you said you can serve 60 in a class, like you just explained to us, and in Wake County, huge numbers.
Right.
Here. Like, how do we approach it for the optional and whoever thumbs up?
Yeah, so that's the thing. Some schools in the state have come to us and made it a requirement of a parking permit, because it's like I said, where I live, we lose, and gun violence is horrible, but we lose a lot more young people to car crashes. So some of the schools make that a requirement. Some of them don't, and that's the tricky part about getting people there. But if we have a group larger than 60, we'll run double sessions sometimes, or sometimes we'll have to go multiple trips to that particular area to get it done. Oh yeah. Yeah. We have a team working somewhere, and with the triangle area, it's pretty frequent because we have so many different teams in close proximity. So did y'all hear that online? Because with the mic down. All right. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
And drive that for about 18 years. And work with Carl. And I want to know, like, how long of a process is this? So, for example, if we wanted to try to have it come to us anywhere in the spring, is that like something you have to back up and?
To get a team. So for one of those special events that you had with a group of young people, I could pull something off in about 6 weeks notice. I just have to get because like I told you, I'm retired, but my instructors are full-time, mostly police. We do have some great firefighters too, but mostly police officers. So they have regular careers that they're doing. So it's just a matter of lining them up. But we now have 457 instructors throughout the state that we can pull from that are first responders that'll come help out. So about 6 weeks, we can arrange an event. I'd have to come and put eyeballs or one of my people on the parking lot and make sure it was suitable. We need a water source to be able to spray the course down. It saves on tires. We go through a lot of tires every week, a lot of tires. But so we just check out the facility and then work out a plan, maybe get the school system involved or the church group, whoever it was going to be, to make sure we could get the parents interested. Because I can tell you, it's just going back to 17-year-old Todd Radabaugh here. If you handed me a flyer for an optional course on a Saturday, it would never make it home to my mom and daddy. It just wouldn't. So we have to find a way to engage the parents. We have signs we can put up at the school with QR codes. So if parents are picking their young people up, they could see them. But yeah, that's the most challenging part for those
buy-in,
those beyond driver's education, we call them, just because they get to experience those crash causes. Getting the parents, because there's so much competition for time everywhere, and I get that. So we're not married to a Saturday. We could pull something off on a Sunday or on a holiday when the school was closed if we could get the parking lot, or if somebody knew of a great facility that wasn't being used,
And then like that VIP program, you know, that used to come through high schools, I assume it still does, but
It does.
I'm retired from high school.
Yeah.
So I think they do something where they do something during the day with as many people as they can put in the auditorium, and then they go out into the stadium and do the other part.
Yeah.
So
The mock crash.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's good, but
this is more hands-on.
and we have that message too, but ours, they'll get to gain that experience in a no risk environment, because we have not had an incident. You know, well, those instructor breaks, we inspect them every single morning and every single afternoon, and the cars are serviced after every session just because we don't want an incident. So,
Thank you.
good question. Yes, ma'am.
Angie, would you state your name and where you work just for the record here?
Yes, I'm Angela Stevenson, retired Wake County English teacher. Work with driver education with Wake County and Jordan Driving School, and am also the recording secretary for the organization NCDTSEA.
Thank you very much. Just as a footnote too, some of you may not be aware, the VIP program has now retired. Those that were in charge of that program have now decided they have gone a different direction with their families. So with that, they have been investigating another partner, and it's not quite ready yet to evolve. But when that happens, they're still going to be available. We will, Governor's Highway Safety, partner with them, help educate and put out the word across the land about their mock programs. Because that's not exactly what you do. You don't do mock.
No, we don't. This is hands-on. They really get to
hands-on,
experience it.
Yeah.
So that they get that little sinking feeling. The other thing, part of our program too, we'll have the one student driving the car, an instructor, but these young folks, they get to ride in the back seat too and experience just how they have no control at all if they don't speak up, if their friends are driving in a way that makes them uncomfortable. And that is a huge eye opener for them.
Yeah.
Because they don't think about that part either. So, yeah, we're hands-on. We don't do the mock stuff.
And I will say this as a footnote. When I was doing my dissertation and talking with teen drivers, they talked about your program, and that was huge. And I think the word of peer pressure and peers talking to each other, that I would say, not taking away from your instructors or the like of that, but that's really what has made your program grow and move forward.
Yeah.
Because the teens talk about how, and I won't say exciting, but how real life it is, because until they have an accident or a crash, I mean, that's the first one. If you can simulate that or get a feel for that, or have, the close call in your training, at least they have some type of exposure. Not to say that we want them to have any exposure at all, but reality is what it is. They will. And then they also grow up to be adults, and we do as well. After that first deer, it's like, oh, wow. So,
And a couple things about that too. They come in, it's a Saturday morning. So they show up at 8:45. They are down here because here it's 8:45 on a Saturday, and I'm going to sit in this program. They really don't know what to expect. So they're down low, but by the end of the day with the surveys, we get surveys from all the students, and I can't say I changed the trajectory of a 16-year-old's driving for the rest of their days, but I can say we're catching them. They're saying, I'm going to put my phone down. I'm not going to speed. I'm going to wear my seatbelt, which they haven't been doing. And then the other piece about that is, especially the way times have been, they get to interact with law enforcement outside of a law enforcement encounter, which is totally different. So they get to interact with these law enforcement in khakis and a polo shirt and get to meet them as neighbors in their community, because that's another big thing that's important to us. I don't want to send a team of Wilmington officers to Greensboro to deliver a program, because that community is different. And so we want to use Greensboro officers in Greensboro so they can interact with the young people in their community. And that's been huge too. It's been really good to see on those surveys how much they enjoyed or what they learned about police and law enforcement. So we're happy about that.
Yeah.
Any more questions, comments? Did you?
Madam Chair, we've got a couple of questions. I've got several questions.
My mic's not working.
Okay.
Do you, for the Beyond Driver's Education sessions, do you allow permitted drivers in addition to licensed drivers?
Great question. Yes, we do, because we'd never get on the road. We're in a PVA only. They don't leave the parking lot. So yeah, permit's great. We do like them to have a little bit of driving experience, because if they're super, super new, it's hard for our instructors to get them to do what we need them to do, because they're afraid of that car. So when we tell them floor it, they don't floor it because they're a little intimidated. But yeah, permitted driver with a little bit of driving experience is perfect for us. And the Beyond Driver's Ed program, I'll tell you, I leave some seats for that in every single class we do throughout the county. So just click on the different link and it'll take you to the Beyond Driver's Ed page. And we leave seats in every single program we do throughout the state every weekend for young people who want to take it before they have a crash. Yeah. So.
You ever allow the parents to sit in?
Absolutely. Yeah. Now that's funny. The parents are required to be there for the first hour for the introduction and the waiver part, but a lot of them stick around after that. But some of them, it's their parents. They can't get out of there fast enough. So we tell them they have to be there for the first hour, then they're free to leave, but they're welcome to stay and follow their young people. And most of them do. They don't follow them, but they kind of lurk and watch what's going on with the young people. Yeah.
Any more questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
Todd. Yes, Todd, I have a number of questions busting at the seams here. I was actually keeping score on the strategic plan that I just talked about from the Department of Public Instruction and the state superintendent and the State Board of Education, and you've hit 6 of 8 of those pillars in there. So I'm very impressed with what you're doing with your organization. I do have a few questions. What I'd like to do is I heard a little bit about implementation process of getting into the schools, but what about the teachers? We have 1,000 teachers in our state. Unfortunately, we're losing them at a faster rate than we can replace them. But there are very few professional development opportunities specifically for traffic safety education. I see what you're doing could be very valuable to teachers. There's 3 attendees in the room that could vouch for that. There are several members of our committee that you don't see, but they're online. But they could also vouch for that, and they may have questions to follow up with this. But professional development is a major problem for us for traffic safety education. Do you provide, or would you consider providing? And we just happen to have the recording secretary for the North Carolina Driver and Traffic Safety Education Association, Angie Stevens, who is in the room. They have an annual conference that they may be able to work into where there is a opportunity for you to get to teachers to talk about this, not only to promote the program, but also to provide expert professional development for those teachers.
Yeah, we would love to be involved in that. That's absolutely something we could do. Yeah.
So to follow up with that is, you and I can discuss this. I'm in the process of creating a place to provide communications to our public school leaders in where they could partner with, or at least find out where they could order parts, materials, teaching materials, and things like that. But also with organizations such as yours, we can share information, and I could get that up there and let them know when that's being published. By the way, I did forget to say that we were going to have our driver education procedures manual to be republished beginning on December 1st. It's been a long, arduous process, but I think we're there, and we will have a place in there where we can add things such as this and get that out to all of the 115 districts and the partners that they have in education. Any rate, I thank you for your presentation.
Yes, sir.
It was very enlightening.
Anything we can do for you guys, let me know, because if we can't measure the crashes we prevent, but that's why we're in this business, and we'll never know for sure. What we do know is young driver deaths have gone down in the counties we're active in. But if we can prevent one crash, then every Saturday is worth it to me to be on the road going somewhere to support my team. So that's why we do it. So anything we can do to help and help the young drivers in North Carolina or the people that educate them, we are happy to do it, and we'll find a way to make it work.
And I'm quite sure you probably get letters and memos and emails and anything else, texts about how beneficial this has been to that particular individual
We
that
do.
took your training.
Yeah, we
So-
do. We hear a lot of testimonials from parents, particularly who have multiple children, and they'll come back and tell us what a difference it made or a particular crash that they attribute to us saving their young person's life. So yeah, those are satisfying. But yeah, if we can prevent one single crash, it's worth it.
And I think too, not only your program, but other programs across the state and what they're doing in the high schools and education and with training, all of that lends itself to having a reduction in teen driving crashes and also increasing our seatbelt usage to close to 92% for the state, which is huge for us as well. So we crunch numbers all the time, and sometimes they don't look as good as we'd like to see them, but they do have a positive side to that as well. And so we thank you so much for sharing your program with us today. And I know Carl will be in touch with you to talk about some other things that might be appropriate. So, and I know, yes.
Yeah, and I'm Dr. Pusco Johnson County Schools.
I don't think your mic is turned.
Josh Plisco, Johnson County Public Schools, driver's ed. I just want to thank this group for coming to Smithfield on Saturday. I look forward to following up with the driver's education teacher there, who's also the lead of the JOCO teen drivers. We do, each school at the beginning of the year has an opportunity, if they have interest students, to have a club that teachers support. And they do everything from seatbelt checks at Friday night football games to just things the kids want to do. But I'm looking forward to reviewing this and seeing how it could be utilized throughout. And we've had a time since COVID as we gain back to students and clubs and those things. And as things change, we're keeping a pulse on it. But we appreciate you coming to our county and the involvement with the local EMS, cops, firefighters, and all that goes well. And just thank you for what you do, and look forward to catching up with you and seeing how we could look to add to other places.
We look forward to that too. Johnston County was actually the second county we started up in way back in the day. So we've had a great relationship with them and are happy to help.
Right. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate that. I know we get involved a lot with Johnston County, and that, just as a little footnote, that was one of the first counties that Governor's Highway Safety worked with back almost 15 years ago in developing a teen driving coalition where teens were actually running the program. And from that, we've gone to many other counties to develop those types of team building task force, if you will, for the teens to help us spread traffic safety messages. Because as well as I do, when they talk to each other, they listen to each other as opposed to having adults come in all the time. So thank you again very much.
Thank you.
And we look forward to working with you in the future.
Sounds great.
Appreciate the partnership. Okay, so our next line of business, I'll turn it over to our vice chair, and if he will introduce and proceed.
Perfect, thank you. So the next person I'm introducing knows me very well because he's getting tired of my emails. Terry is presenting for both work zones and the driver services sessions, as Tanya could not be with us due to a planning call at the DMV. All right, our presenter is going to be Mr. Terry Fuller, who has worked for the DMV for 20 years, serving in the driver license unit as an examiner, compliance, and chief examiner. He has also served with school bus and traffic safety as a driver's education program specialist, and now as the manager of the unit. So Terry, we'd love for you to talk about the stuff you got going on.
Right. Great. Thank you very much. Thanks everybody for the invite, Dr. Leonard. It's always a pleasure. I want to begin, if you go to the next slide, please. We'll give an overview of the highway work zone safety legislation that passed last year. So the Division of Motor Vehicles, as required in 20-88.1, is required to develop a training course or identify an existing training course to educate individuals on safe operation of a motor vehicle within highway work zone as defined, work zones defined in GS 20-141. So we started on that program early this year, and we're at a point now where we have partnered with a vendor for an online course, and then also we're going to offer an in-person as required by statute. So if you will advance the slide, please. Also in that legislation, in GS 115C 215B6 required DPI to incorporate the highway work zone training course developed by DMV pursuant to 20-88.1 into the driver edge curriculum. Okay. The effective date of this going live is December 1, 2025. So a few weeks away. Next slide, please. So there was an in-person requirement, and we met that by offering an 8-hour driver improvement clinics that is from the National Safety Council. We currently were doing a 4-hour course, but that work zone safety was not in there, so we had to regroup and offer an 8-hour course, which that work zone safety is incorporated into the 8 hours. It will require any individual, this is available to anyone, by the way, it will require an individual to schedule with the DMV and paying an associated cost of $83.50, which is set in statute of 20-16C. And we are increasing an increase. That was for the 4-hour course, but so we'll be asking for an increase to be determined. And this fee is subject to quadrennial adjustments. A course completion certificate will meet the need for any documentation is required in the statute. Our online, and basically that is a completion certificate from the National Safety Council. The online requirement was met by DMV partnering with workzonesafe.com. They've right now have programs up and running in, I think, 4 or 5 other jurisdictions across the nation. The training course, it will be hosted on the workzonesafe.com website. We will have links on our teen driver page and also another page. It escapes me right now where that's going to be at, but it'll be several different places on our website. The course right now is going to be provided at no cost. We had some funding and we utilized it. Next year, December 1, 2026, if it is unfunded by the legislature, we will have to either come up with a charge, but if we divided all the driver ed students that currently are in the program right now, we could charge $1 and still make money. And it's not our intent to make money, just to recoup the cost, but that's just giving you the math of what this costs. Work Zone Safe will, at the end of it's about a 20-minute program. And at the end of that program, a certificate can be generated and downloaded and printed in order to show the participant has completed that program. Next slide, please. So one of the big questions that we're getting now is how does DPI want to incorporate these two options into their driver ed curriculum? It's our opinion that DPI controls the driver ed completion paperwork. So if a student presents a completion certificate from either work zone safety training program or the driver improvement 8-hour course, that should meet the criteria. And so how this works for teen driver's ed is up to DPI. DMV has designed the program as required by GS General Statute 20-88.1. And we, under 115.215, DPI has full control over the curriculum. So it'll be up to DPI to decide how they want to do and integrate this into their system. We believe that the commercial schools don't have anything to do with this. They can have the student take the course on their own time. It's about a 20-minute course. They can do it on their phone, on the computer, bring the certificate into the instructor, driver ed instructor, and then in turn, once they complete the driver ed program, they can be given the normal certificate of completion for driver's ed and take that to the DLO, the driver's license office, to which would be the best thing, because then the driver's license office would not have any changes in their day-to-day activity. And once they receive that certificate, then the assumption can be made that they have passed the work zone safety program as required, effective December 1. Anybody that is currently in the program right now is not subject to this requirement. It would be only students entering the driver's ed program on or after December 1. All right, next slide. I think that is pretty much the gist of the whole program. I'm open to any questions that you may have.
Hey, this is Devin Tanner. Everything will be up and running for the 20-minute course on the 1st. You said on their phone. So is there an app that they will be accessing, or is it just on their website?
It'll be on our website. We'll have live links that'll take them to that, and they can do it on their phone. They could do it on a laptop or a desktop at home, either one.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. We are probably tomorrow. We'll put out a press release to this effect, and we'll have our website up and running by December 1.
I have a question. This
Yeah.
is Angie Stevenson. So will students need to print out that certificate and bring it in, or is or can we as instructors verify that they've done it? And would that be sufficient?
That entirely is up to DPI and how they want to handle that.
Thank you.
It is our opinion that, it could be whatever the instructor requires.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yes.
This is Carl, DPI. The answer to your question, Ms. Stevenson, is that DPI or state board policy requires the district to issue certificates to students who've completed the requirement. The student would receive that evidence from the app and the teacher, and then the teacher would actually then certify that the student has completed it by issuing the classroom portion of at least the completion certificate. Those completion certificates all completion certificates should be considered school records, and the districts will store those properly until the amount of time that's required by law to do that. Madam Chair.
Carl.
Yes.
Well, what I kind of missed the part of it because I had to go on mute for a second. Well, he just went over. Were you guys sending out step by step? Because I kind of missed the beginning of that part.
Yes, just for the purposes of this meeting, I stated the process, but what I will be doing is following up with all of the requirements and what you need to do locally to comply with the legislation.
Thank you.
This is Joseph Forthover with Benson Driving School. Terry, is my understanding correct that the certificate is right now not being checked at DMV? So it's not an additional piece of paperwork that they need to bring in?
Right. Well, the program goes into effect December 1, so we're not looking at that right now. But if we would prefer that no additional paperwork come to the driver's license office. So once that student presents their driver's ed completion certificate, we will be business as usual. So that the completion certificate from Work Zone should be presented to the driver's ed instructor, commercial school.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so any further questions, comments? Terry, thank you so much for that presentation. We appreciate all your hard work and the things that are going on.
Yes, ma'am. My pleasure.
Oh, and Tanya, Terry, I think you're going to present in place of Tanya.
Yes, ma'am, I am. Let me get, have you got that slide, that presentation from Tanya?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm a little rusty from my chief days, but all of this seems fairly familiar. What they wanted to update was advancing to a level 3 full provisional license. The driving log requirement has been removed for teen drivers, advancing from level 2 limited provisional license to a level 3 full provisional. The eligibility requirements is a person at least 16 but under 18 may obtain a full provisional license if they have held. I'm sorry, my screen's blurry. Let me find this on my computer. Let me pull it up because I can't read that. Yeah, so they have to have held a limited provisional license for at least 6 months. As always, they can't have any moving violations, seatbelt violations, or under GS 20 137.3 violations, or any violations in the past 6 months. They have to hold a driving eligibility certificate from their high school, a diploma or its equivalent. Remember now the driving log has been removed. If you go to the next slide, please. I believe there's some more. How to apply is the easiest, fastest way to advance from a level 2 to a level 3 is online. The parent or guardian must assist the teen driver in completing the upgrade application. Although the log is done away with, there has to be an attestation from the parent that they have completed their 12 hours of behind the wheel. The information that's needed from the parent guardian is their driver license credential number, their date of birth, and their forms of ID. Teen driver has to give their driver's license number, their date of birth, and the last 4 digits of their social security number. So once the parent or guardian completes their portion, the teen driver must finish their part within 72 hours to complete the upgrade process. The next slide, please. And that's it for that. So basically, once they complete that, then they will use the most recent picture that they took and send that upgraded license out in the mail, just as they always do now. Any questions on that I may answer?
Okay, no questions. Thank you, Terry. Appreciate your presentation. Okay, So, I want to call your attention to two existing, do you want to do that? Okay, I'm gonna, turn this over to Carl so he can address some things from all business.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to call your attention to two existing action items that that have been paused in our agency. But the other one is moving at top speed. If you remember, the policy for this committee and the policy recommendations that we had that going to update the state board policy has been paused. My understanding is that there is a move or interest in updating the policy for all advisory committees across the agency. So we're going to pause on filling any vacant seats at the moment, and rewriting the or editing or amending the current policy. The teacher certification strategy development has slowed, but it's not ended. We are still committed. The agency is still committed to providing the best possible support that we can for our districts. And we realize that there's 48 districts that do not currently have a pathway toward recruiting new teachers at their districts. However, the third process on this, the decennial rule making, kind of encompasses parts of what may be the solution to some of our problems. What I'd like to do is I'm standing in actually for Ryan Collins, who is our rule-making lead counsel, who is actually in court right now. He asked me to step in here and bear with me while I try to pronounce some fancy lawyer words probably, but we will move forward in this. And if anyone has any questions, then please ask. This does involve you all in this committee. Many of you out there in the districts will also be involved at some point or another during this process. So the State Board of Education has historically relied on the creation and the implementation of policies to carry out its constitutional duty to supervise and administer the public school system. North Carolina Constitution, Article 9, Section 5. Until the early 2000s, the State Board also regularly adopted legislative rules and published them to the North Carolina Administrative Code. For the past 20 years, however, the State Board has relied mostly on policies and only adopted rules in select areas that are often subject to litigation, such as teacher licensure. In North Carolina, the State Board of Education versus the state of North Carolina in 371 NC 149 in 2018, the North Carolina Supreme Court held that the General Assembly could require the State Board to subject its policies to the rulemaking process outlined in the North Carolina Administrative Procedures Act, the APA, Chapter 150B, Article 2A, and the General Statutes. This includes publication in the North Carolina Register, a minimum 60-day comment period, public comment period, and review by the Rules Review Commission for clarity of the rules and compliance with the applicable law. As a result, most State Board of Education policies must be adopted as rules to be enforceable in court or in the Office of the Administrative Hearings. Under the Administrative Procedures Act, the agencies must readopt rules every 10 years or those rules will expire, which the driver education rules are due to expire in 2026. The intent is to ensure agencies are keeping rules up to date and eliminating outdated or unnecessary rules. The first set of rules that the State Board has been required to readopt as part of this process since the 2018 court case must be readopted by 2026 due to the State Board of Education's failure to adopt and publish these rules in recent years. Many of these rules are significantly outdated. Several of these rules related to driver education are on that list of rules must be readopted by 2026, as I stated. Most of these rules are not only outdated, but in some cases have created problems for the driver education program, including its ability to train qualified driver education instructors. In addition, the state board needs to codify, several existing policies and practices into rules. The proposed rule changes will achieve all these goals. In addition, we are proposing updates to the corresponding state board policies to align with the rules. The intent is to still maintain state board policies as comprehensive statements of governing laws and rules governing driver education, and as a primary tool by which students and school districts observe these requirements. The rules provide a legal backstop should litigation arise. This slide shows a procedural timeline on how these rules and policies will be considered and approved. This timeline will be very important to this body as they move forward. The staff has been working on these rules and policies for several months to ensure consistency with applicable law, the state board policy, and DPI objectives. The revised rules and policies were also developed with the goal of improving organization, increasing clarity, making the rules and policies more accessible to the field and the greater public. At any point up until the State Board of Education votes on the final set of rules and policies in May of 2026, there will be an opportunity for feedback and input. Discussion period between December and January meetings, and then there is the public comment period of 60 days. For some of you, I'm sure this is information overload, and however, information you've just heard will serve as the baseline for resolving many issues of the program. The upside, you get to participate in the changes as they go forward. As you've heard, the staff has invested a tremendous amount of time and days in the recent months to continue this process. As you've also heard, the State Board of Education will be receiving these recommendations beginning in December, on December 3rd. If you'll look at the screen very quickly, the top three rules on this are the existing rules. The number 0301 was the requirements. It is now going to be definitions that are commonly used across agencies between the traffic safety education industry and also the education inside the public instruction. Then also the number 0302, non-certified teachers. That rule now will be incorporating all teachers in that same rule. And we'll get more into that as we move forward. And then there are contracting in the 0303, there are contracting updates that basically clarify what the districts are to require in their contracts according to statute and rules. The number 0304 requirements, these were taken from 0301 and created their own rule. However, this now will align more with current state board policy, as I mentioned in the prelude to getting to this this section. And then number 0305, driver eligibility. Driver eligibility has no impact on driver education. So this has been stripped out and made it into its own rule. I like to say that driver education is a distant family member that came to visit one weekend and didn't go home. Unfortunately, I happen to be probably the most knowledgeable person regarding driver eligibility in our agency, but I assume that things may change. I'm not sure. So we'll let you know on that. At any rate, these are very important rule changes. And again, you will be involved in the process as we go forward. Madam Chair, what I'd like to do is identify individuals in this body to be able to provide immediate feedback to the internal staff team here at DPI as we move forward. And before that final approval is done in May. We should have at least one advisory committee meeting before that final rules approval goes through, which would be the February meeting. So some of the communication that we have will be through emails to the membership of the body. There will be some information that I can prepare for the local leaders in the districts. Madam Chair, if we could pause for just a moment, if there's anyone in the membership of the DEAC, if you would like to state your name, then I could take your name down, and I could send you an email. If we don't have any, what I can do is just send this invitation out again after the meeting and see if anyone wants to participate in this rulemaking process. But actually, the entire body has the ability to make recommendations on this as well. Are there any individuals who would like to identify themselves from the committee who would like to participate in the rulemaking process directly with me over the next couple of weeks as we move forward to the February meeting?
Devin Tanner, I'll do it.
Devin, I'm putting your name down.
And you can put my name if you'd like.
Dr. Leonard.
I'll be happy to help, Carl.
Who was that happy?
Marcia Kelly.
Marcia Kelly.
Carl, I believe it's in DMV's best interest to be included in this as well.
Terry, the DMV is going to be heavily involved in it, and my understanding is that there will be on December 9th, we have a meeting with you all, but my understanding is that you all will be provided with a copy of the rules.
Okay.
For comment.
Fair enough.
Yes.
Carl, it's Eddie Jordan. I'll participate if needed.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Any others?
Carl, Chad Aharon. I'll also participate.
Vice Chair Aharon. That's how he told me how to pronounce his name.
He says it better than me. It's unbelievable.
All right. If there are others, give me an email. Otherwise, Madam Chair, I will yield back.
Thank you so much for that report. And thank you all for volunteering to help provide some insight and information so we can present in May. Anybody have any comments or anything that they want to share before we close up? Anything that's ongoing or?
Yeah, Dr. Linda, this is Terry. I do want to reiterate, I think we have a habit of saying apps when the work zone safety thing is not an app. It is a link that you will click on and go to their website. So I just wanted to make that clear.
Okay. So I wanted to make a comment too about the work zone. Many of you are aware that we held the National Work Zone Awareness Traffic Safety event in North Carolina this past April. And there was a lot of discussion, not only about drivers going through the work zone, but teens going through the work zone. And so we were very delighted that the partnership was so strong with DMV and with Terry's group that we were able to get all the things that we have that he presented on. So we've been working, and I say we, North Carolina Department of Transportation has been focusing on work zone for many, many years. And we actually have a section in DOT that focuses on work zone, and of course, all the divisions. And anybody that drives anywhere in North Carolina within, as they say, Dollar General has an area every 5 miles. There's a work zone every 5 miles, we believe. So we say that tongue in cheek. It's job security for a lot of people, but it is to make our roads safer and better, because we are known as the Good Road State. So with that said, thank you, Terry. Thank you, Todd. All of those that had an opportunity to provide input. Carl, you have one thing you want to say?
One more thing. I'd like to get some feedback from our district leaders. Email is fine, informal. As you may know, we have had some technology issues in the past, but due to our great technology team here at DPI, we have worked those out. I'd like to get some feedback on how they viewed the accessibility through the live stream on YouTube, and also the members here using the Zoom app that we have. So thank you a lot to the technology team for working through these issues for us and making this meeting possible. Thank you very much.
Very seamless and no feedback, for sure. Cindy, thank you for all that you do to coordinate this and make this happen, this meeting. And I'd say Miss Finley, but after the lecture, I think it's Rachel, right? So thank you very much for being here and being part of this and making all things good for the program. So without further, February 17th is our next meeting at 10 o'clock here at the State Board of Education room at the Department of Public Instruction, 301 North Wilmington Street, Raleigh. And there will be a virtual option as well with the same kind of program process we've had today. So please provide feedback if this has worked for you. And it seemed to be pretty seamless on our end. So let us know how that works. So thank you again very much for those of you in the room presenting and being here today, and those of you online. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving and a good holiday. I think we probably won't see each other until February. So we'll see you then. Thank you.